So right now, if you guys take a look at my chart, we have ES up, futures markets open, and we got a nice gap up. I'm not 100% sure why. I think something along the lines of ceasefire possibly. But we know every other week with the person in charge, we get a ceasefire here and there, and then a bomb drop the next day. So as of right now, it's not really anything that I'm just going to just feel like it's a complete sentiment shift right now because it's not. Okay. Um, Looking at ES, like I said, we do have the gap up, and it recovered and it's broken previous days highs. So those Friday highs that we seen before we sold off here, we seen a gap up and a break above that. So we should be Bulls should be in control going into tomorrow, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we're out the water. You feel me? So right now we are seeing some stagnant price action right here. As you can see, we got 1, 2 going on the third hourly candle with 4 minutes left, and prices really hasn't broken, highs or lows. So we're kind of stagnant for tomorrow. I don't really like that because what could happen if the prices don't move, then we could end up just flushing overnight. And by the time the market opens, we can be back down here. Overall, as you can see, I got it labeled out. Um, these red lines up here at the top and at the bottom, those are my previous months highs and lows. And if you know anything about me, I like to use top-down analysis to kind of predict or guide me in a direction that I think that we're going to be heading going into the next month. Or if we go into a smaller frame, like I have these smaller red lines here, those are previous week's highs and lows. All right. And then these purple and gold are the opening prices. So just looking at it, we're in a bearish territory, even though we're moving sideways. We're not really making any new highs at the moment right now. And since this is purple, we're trading below the monthly lows or the monthly opening price. And like I was saying, we're right there where prices opened at for futures as of right now. See, it's still gold. Once it breaks below here, it's going to turn purple, and that's going to let me know that we're actually trading below it, and the bears are going to be in full control. We're already below the monthly opening price, and then if we drop back down here, we'll be below this current week's opening price. So, um, this definitely is something to watch for going into tomorrow. As you can see, this area right here was our previous support zone for ES. We had a lot of support here. Bam, bam, bam. And what happened Friday? Well, Thursday, we actually flushed below the support line, and then we're coming back up to try to reclaim this. So, like I said, it's still a lot of selling pressure. We currently broke above previous days highs. So, once again, the Bulls are in control for the moment, but at any point, any time, this could definitely change, and we could be seeing Bears step back in full force. So let's see what I'll be watching as far as levels going into next week. So, um, a lot of Bears are gonna be up here. You know what? Since we're gonna be actually trading SPY, let's go to SPY and look at those actual levels instead of trying to predict ES. I'm clicking all kind of shit right now. All right, so let's take off the weeks and just harnessing it on this month. All right, so last week we watched SPY bounce around 735. All right, that's where Bulls were currently trying to hold up and keep levels from flushing even lower. This wick right here is what pretty much has my attention. You feel me? Um, because the buy up got caught so quickly and happened so fast. I wouldn't be surprised that eventually we're trying to come back down and retest this 720 zone. This is also where I have one of my GAN fan levels lined up at 2, which is showing that it's a confluence of support. All right. So going into this upcoming week, price is at 743 right now. Let's see if this 24-hour market will show. Yeah. All right. So this is what we're watching right now. I got the 24-hour session pulled up on TradingView. Pretty dope. Some they just added probably within the last, well, I say last 2 weeks. I've just not started noticing it on my TradingView. But if you go to the time frames below the daily, you can go down to the right corner in your settings and you can change between regular, extended, and now 24-hour trading on the charts. So right now, prices are starting to reject around 746. So we're watching this support try to go back and reclaim this level up here to 746, but it's rejecting right now. We dropped back down below 742. I wouldn't be surprised if we came back down to retest the 737 level if the bulls can't maintain, the prices right now. All right, I wouldn't be surprised if we actually keep dropping down lower. It's like I told you, this wick that we saw at once upon a time down here at 720, that still has my attention. And if for some reason something negative does impact the price action this week, then that's probably what we'll be looking at. We may have some notable earnings that could be affecting the market. Let's see if anybody posted the earnings for the week yet. So this is for the week of the 27th. um, and I'm looking in the Discord right now. It looks like we have Microsoft, we have Meta, we have Robinhood, and these are Wednesday after close. We have Wednesday just looks like a big day. Okay, we have Apple Thursday, and then Friday is just, a lot of the other ones. So Microsoft, Meta, Robinhood are three that I'll be watching Wednesday, and then Apple Thursday after close. So these all those could definitely give us a reason to keep the market in a limbo. Keep the market in limbo and possibly drive prices lower. Um, I'm still a little bearish on it. Like I said, I will be looking for rejections on SPY above 746 and between 748. Right when we start to see this kind of peak, once again, you see I got all these red lines that's right here. Around 747 is where I would definitely be looking at puts if we pump tomorrow, and then at least come back down to retest this opening price and see if that holds. If it doesn't, we'll come back down and then start filling these gaps back down to 737. So we're not out the woods yet, people, as far as the bulls taking control. This is just a recovery that we needed to see take place, just because we did break a sound level of support here at 742, and prices are just trying to come back to reclaim some of those levels to kind of keep the market in limbo, um, to hold out through some of these earnings as we go out throughout the week, and we possibly have some Fed data that may get released too. Looking at Qs. Now, Qs have kind of been a lot weaker, a lot weaker. Let's go back and look at SPY and see how it's kind of been sideways for the most part. If we zoom out, see how it's kind of been holding a range here between 755 and then right around like 745. It's been sideways, even though it dips below that here and there, but it gets bought up. Okay. if you look at the cues, it hasn't been as profitable over the last couple of weeks. You see how this one is more so a slight, you know, trickle to the downside. And reason because it's so heavily weighted on semiconductors. If you've been looking at stocks like MU, AMD, Nvidia, um, can't remember if Intel's part of the holdings, but if you look at some of those, they've either been dropping or they've just been trading sideways, and the rest of the market just hasn't really been performing to its potential either. Semiconductors have pretty much been the all tell, um, carry the entire market over the past couple of months. And if they start suffering, then you're gonna see QQQ suffer a little bit more than the actual spot does. All right, so right now on the 24 hour charts, we see that gap up to Bulls were trying to defend 681. They're gapping up to try and retest the level of support that was almost holding up right around here. So I'm looking at the buy up here, the buy up here, and then the buy up here. So we dipped below that, and now prices are gapping back up inside of that support area that once was there. So normally with that happening, you want to look to see if this is actually a reclaim of support or is this just gapping up to continue to roll back over to the downside, because we just broke monthly lows. You see how, let's hide some of this real quick. All right, so all right, so you see how back on the spot chart we have the monthly highs and the lows, the red lines here, and then the opening price here. We're way below the monthly opening price for tech. All right, so that just lets us know the overall sentiment of tech is is just bearish this month. All right, and we briefly broke below previous month's lows. They're stepping back up and trying to see if it's going to reclaim the bottom of previous month's closing prices or the lows. All right, so like I said, we see the bounce here, the bounce there, and now we're trying to see if we can get back up in here. But I think everything will be short lived just for the time being. What I would definitely be watching for to see if we can reclaim 696 and break out above that. If we do, I'll look for prices to either come up to around like 703 to 706 before really getting tested, because this is the last area that we really saw prices start to just get hammered and come to a standstill. Around the 703 to 706, see if Bulls still have enough steam to keep up, and how we trade going into the rest of the week with these earnings happening midweek. All right. We want to keep this gap right here in mind. So I would be looking for light puts, light calls, heavy puts. Reason because this gap up, a lot of people might be anticipating this to get filled tomorrow. If it doesn't though, and we go and we trade above 696, then we might see just a low volume push to the upside just to kind of squeeze out the early bears that wants to come back down to this downside. So um like I said, I wouldn't say tomorrow is really a day to trade just because of the gap up, and it's creating a lot of uncertainty between the two. You know, who's gonna win overnight and who's gonna hold going throughout the trading day. So you definitely want to be careful day trading tomorrow, just depending on how everything's gonna play out. Like I said, euphoria in the market, big names have earnings, and we just have to watch out for how everything's gonna play out. So light puts tomorrow, heavy puts to end the week is gonna be what I'm definitely gonna be watching for um, this upcoming week. So let's see. We've been watching Nvidia heavy. Of course, everybody's watching Nvidia. It's the most heavily weighted stock on the indexes right now, and it's pretty much been struggling to maintain any type of pump it's been getting over the past couple of, let's see, this is early July, mid July, this is July 22nd. So every pump that we've been seeing is kind of been getting faded back to the downside just to keep the indexes in check, in my opinion. So going into this week, of course, um, Nvidia is one of the stocks that's on the more bullish side of the market. Okay, it's more so on the bullish side of the market. Um, we can see is actually holding up within a level of, well, within a channel that's been highly respected over the past since April. Once we got here between 209 and 200, it's been bought up pretty well. And most of the time, once it gets above this 210 range, it normally takes off and spikes up pretty good. All right, so right now, let's see, we're trading in between a channel again of 210 and 200. Um, I would look for bulls to start trying to pump this out of here, and this is gonna be needed in order to get the both indexes a little higher. You feel me? So I'm still bullish on Nvidia for the moment. Reason because, like I said, it's still trading a little stronger than most of the other stocks that we're looking at. I mean, we've seen Google plummet after earnings, Tesla plummet after earnings. Apple's probably the only thing that's really been holding the market up from a bullish standpoint, because everything else kind of has been getting fried, if you can believe it or not. So, um, Nvidia is one of them ones that's not really making a lot of noise right now, but it's still bullish in my opinion, simply because it's in a channel that likes to get bought up between 200, 210 and 200. We saw a brief discount below 200 here, and it consolidated for maybe about a week and a half before it finally took back off, and here we are now. So let's see how things go this week. Let's hide some of this and see how things look. So we are trading against a bearish month. Both red lines at the top and the bottom. Here's the highs, here's the lows. But we're trading above that opening price. It's golden. So, like I said, as long as we're above that, let's go to one where it's not. Here's SPY. You see how that's purple? We're trading below that price. If we look at Nvidia, even though it's trading against the bulls, it's still maintaining prices above this opening price, which is showing, it's a display of strength. You feel me? So let's keep eyes on that. Let's see how it can hold out. We don't have probably about a couple of more days into the month's end. And with that being said, if it still maintains to hold above 200, then we're going into next month green. And that'll be pretty dope for Nvidia, and also be pretty dope for possibly the indexes, um, just to get them a little morale boost after having such a shitty July. All right, so this is what we're gonna be watching for. Um, we got a lot of support going into this week at 202 and above. All right, so this is gonna be a crucial point. Well, 208 is too. So anything between 208 and 202 is going to be something that I'm going to be watching for to see if prices can maintain above here. Reason why is all confluence. 208 is going to be a pivotal zone. 202 is, and it's still keeping prices above that opening monthly price. All right, so those are going to be three levels I'm going to be watching for, and then my price target for this week, if we decide to keep moving up, we can go with 220s or 225s if you want to be cheaper. Okay, so let's look at that. Let me write this shit down real quick. So we talking Nvidia. Um, it's above monthly opening price, and this is what I do every time I'm evaluating a stock. You feel me? I'm running over this. I'm running over different time frames. I'm picking out important levels, what makes sense, and then I'm writing this stuff down so that that way I can go back and look at it and really put together the puzzle. And then this would be my watch list for the week. So anytime that you're just really evaluating the stock, the lining up everything on the charts is beautiful, it's dope, it's artwork. You feel me? But you definitely want to take time to journal everything that you see about the stock down, everything. So you want to see Nvidia above the opening price for the month, and then the important prices that we're looking at is 208, 202, and 200. All right. Those are the prices that we want to see uh, hold. And then our target prices for this week are going to be 220 and let's do 225. I don't want to push it too far out the money and go 230 just because that's an extreme level that we will have to reach. And I don't want theta to eat in too much and we never get that high. All right, so let's look at 220 weeklies. I think it's what the 7th is this Friday. Let's check the calendar real quick. No, the 31st. I'm going 2 weeks out. So let's go 220 on the 31st. So here's the 220 calls for July 31st. Yeah. And right now, those contracts they're probably back up here around like 180 or 120, but they were seem to holding up around $45 or so. So these contracts have been tapping out around 285, which is a good return. Normally, if you see me alerting some things and they go 100% or so, is because I'm normally grabbing when I can find a good directional trade and see where where the contracts are holding up price wise, and then I'm taking trims or exits at these lines up above. So, like I said, we're probably gonna see those contracts if these overnight prices hold. We'll probably see these contracts somewhere between like 130 and 183. But like I said, tomorrow it's gonna be hard to call it just because this little gap up got everybody on edge. So we'll have to watch out for that. Um, Even if we go out a week, I think that next Friday was August 7th. Yeah. So even if we go 2 weeks out and we go 220s, even these are fairly decent. All right. So these will be good anywhere around $200 or below. We only saw these drop here below $200 for like 2 hours, and it's gapping back up. So that lets me know that money is gonna eventually flow back into these contracts. So I'm actually liking the August 7 calls, 220 calls, simply because it's gonna give us a higher chance of this contract going in the money, and then it's giving us good levels. It's not too expensive yet. Um, and we can get in at decent prices, and we got two levels to average down. And we want to watch the prices for these 220 contracts between 255 and 200. And if If everything works out, we'll see this little gap right here on these contracts get filled back up to the upside, up to 375 and possibly $400. So keep your eyes on Nvidia. Like I said, we're gonna watch the August 7th 220 calls. You can put that on your watch list, and we're just gonna see how this price action holds up overnight and see if the buyers continue to do their thing and we don't dump too hard. All right, we need to hold 202. If we start falling below 202, then I'm switching up, which direction that I want to go against, and I might be doing that. Even my little dashboard down here got all green arrows, so that's a pretty dope confluence. Also, keep it, keep that one on there. Now, Apple is in a world of its own right now. Um, it's going back to retest all time highs at 339. It's hard to say don't get in because right now it's on an absolute, you know, it's a runaway train, and I don't see anything really standing in the way of it if the market decides that it's gonna want to pump this week. Now I was just attempting puts simply because this consolidation here that we saw, no, not right there. This bounce right here, and when it dropped back down, I thought we were gonna actually come back and see. Well, hold on, these prices right here. Okay. Oh, we actually did drop back below there, but I was actually doing puts down because I wanted to see some of these gaps get filled back to the downside. So, like I said, it actually made a big move to the upside Friday, and it left the rest of the market, just completely left them. So now we're gonna be watching for prices to actually continue moving. Um, it's a risky one just because it's already so overextended. But if we can come and crack these all-time highs right here, then we'll see Apple continue to push its way up towards 350, possibly 355. Okay, just because it's already looking so strong, and it could leave as soon as the market opens. So I'm gonna look at Apple all-time highs, and we want to see it above 340. Good thing about Apple is these contracts typically they don't hurt your pockets to go further out. All right, so these are the 350 calls for Apple for this Friday. Yeah. So, depending on how prices open up right now, I would like to see these contracts come anywhere back down to around this like 140, 150 range. I don't know if we'll see it come back down here below 135, and that's just really discounted levels. But I would want to really see it below or somewhere probably about $15 to $20 above this 135 level, and then we can take this ride up here from 232. And if it really gets moving and go into money, we're gonna see these contracts push up at least to 475. And right now, I'm just following the money. I'm not really trying to pinpoint anything that could be a potential reversal or, come back like Robinhood or Google or something. I'm just taking what's already showing me bullish movements, and we're just gonna play into the strengths. And right now, these two stocks are really the ones that's showing strength in the market, and that's really keeping everything balanced. I'm still liking Microsoft and Palantir the closer we get to Anthropic IPOs for software stocks and stuff of that nature. But as of right now, these two stocks are really what I'm just focused on right now, and see if these are going to be the ones that's going to be that parabolic mover going into this upcoming week. So, um, like I said, Apple 350 calls is already punching on the door for all-time highs at 339. So you want to see that breakout above 340 and go back to 350 calls for the week. And like I said, if I can get these at about like 150, below 150, I mean, this is a good opportunity to just, you can average down. This would be a good starter position because you want to take these calls and you want to allow them to push back up to like 235. Trimmer, you can take a trim there, or you can see if you can hold it longer and see if it just goes parabolic up to 475. You feel me? So even if we look at something a little bit longer dated, 2 weeks out, and we go 350 calls, they still not too much more expensive. Um, I would love to take these 2 week out calls below 270. If we can see these drop back below here and get in between this 265 and 175, this will give you plenty of time to see if these contracts can make a move back up towards 500. That's a $300 move right there. And we're simply just playing this one because it's already showing us the most strength, and it's already trying to pump again. So the two stocks that I'm watching for bulls to maintain control over so far is Nvidia and Apple. So, um, let's see. Does anybody else have anything that they want looked at before I venture off into a few more of the tickers? No. All right. So I had a couple of tickers that I was gonna look over from after hours from the ticker request, and one of them was AVAV. I don't really know much about it, but as of right now, there's a couple of people watching it, but it's in a downtrend right now, looking for an opportunity to break out. But long term, I wouldn't just chase this one right now. All right, give me 1 second, family. All right, G, I'm back. Boy, I had to get a glass of water real quick. This talking got me parched. And Delusion, I see you, ISRG. I'll check that one out next. All right. Before I even look at it, let me know which one you looking for, calls or puts, just so I can know where your head at. All right, so while y'all hopping in that one, I'm looking at AVAV. This is Aero Environment. So just looking at it from a long term perspective, we see that it's already in a constant downtrend. We're looking at lower lows, and it's been getting punished, week over week, month over month as of right now. So This isn't something that you would really want to try to time the bottom of right now. Even the market pumped and it's probably about $1 over where it closed um, Friday. Okay. This is a discounted level, yes, but coming down to 106 could also be a discounted level too. You feel me? So this was one that I already broke down. I wouldn't say stay away from it, but I would only buy or what's the word? I would only make an investment in this stock when I see a a bullish closing month. You don't want to try to catch the falling knife and you let, this happen to you every month. You want to wait till you have an actual green month on the chart and probably the last week or the last couple of days that is getting ready to close. You can buy then just to see if it has some strength. But like I said, nothing's really safe right now. You see, we had a green month right here and we had a green month right there, but it's breaking lows. It's breaking lows. So either you can wait the last couple of days to buy into a stock when it's falling like this one, just so you don't get in on the actual rug pull, or you can wait for the quarters. You can wait till it has an actual green quarter, and then you can go into the next quarter, riding your investment into the next 3 months. But if it's red, if it's closing red, to let you know it's bearish pressure, you don't want to try to anticipate the buy up too early, and then you face 1 3 months, then another 3 months. The next thing you know, you're instead of averaging down year after year. So when you're looking at stocks long term, something that you really want to put your money into, you want to wait until either you get a great month or a great quarter if it's going to be like a long term investing strategy. Buying a dip isn't always the route that you want to go, especially if you don't know when the dip gonna stop dipping. You feel me? So as far as a valve, I would say wait on that one. It's not really looking too hot right now. Let's look at Rocket Lab next, and I think this is one of the same ones too. Yeah, I already got the approaching 3 month lows right now. So this is another one that you will probably want to just wait. I know they got earnings coming up. Some people have hope that earnings will save them. Earnings don't always pull you out the water, and it doesn't always have a pre ER run up. All right, so if you look at this, we're approaching some support here on Rocket Lab here at $58, and we're probably still coming back down. Big choppy consolidation here, but we're already trading below monthly lows. So the bulls are already, out. They've already lost control, and they're just trying to wait to see um, when the bleeding is gonna stop. So the sell-off is so dramatic right now. We don't really have any type of downtrend that we can really draw. We just want to see when it's gonna start leveling off and see when we can get like a nice little consolidation period like this. Not necessarily this long, because this lasted from December to April. So you don't really want to look for a consolidation period that long, which it wouldn't necessarily be bad, but you want to do at least look for some sideways movement before you want to start dumping money into a company like Rocket Lab or, the last one that we saw. So it's not really much that we can look at here on Rocket Lab. I wouldn't say buy calls or puts. Um, yeah, everything's pointing down. We already broken a lot of lows. So if anything, you can probably expect a small bounce or recovery, maybe going into next month, just because this sell off was so drastic. But don't go too heavy or too long on it, just because you don't want to catch that falling knife. All right, it's already failing. So let's look at ISRG for my boy Delusion. All right. So as far as this one, it's kind of in the same boat. Okay, it's kind of in the same boat as far as not trying to catch the falling knife. Oh, this must be something I drew last time. Okay. But you don't want to catch this falling knife, all right? So if we go and look at the 3 month time frame, we are already heading into another bearish um 3 months, and we are already trading below the opening price. If we just wanted to look and see if we can find some type of support, let's get this out of the way for right now. Probably this right here. This would be light support here on a ascending trend line, and then we kind of have some floor action like right there. Yeah, so right there where I drew that, if we was to extend this line out a little bit more, you'll see where it lines up at. Here was some support once upon a time before it broke, made a little cup, and retested it before it went up. And here we are again going to retest this little area of support here around 322, 320. All right. Um, it's been dumping, bro, month after month. So be careful trading this one or buying up. Like I said, it's approaching. How that popped up. But it's approaching some support, an ascending trend line here. We just want to see how this holds up week over week. It's already bad for the month. Let's see how it closes, and then from there, yeah, from there we can see how it handles. Yeah. So let's see how this little zone right here between 362 and 258. I know that's a big ass window. Yeah, it's almost $100 difference. But as you can see, when it does make these moves, it happens pretty drastically. So it's filling this gap right here. I do see that. So you'll just want to see how this holds up. Here's the last time it filled a nice little gap, and the bull stepped up. So you see how all of that fall in confluence? Here's the gap that we're heading towards or that we're filling now. Here's the previous one. And both of these lines line up within these windows that we set this $100 window that we just marked out. So that lets you know, watch this if you're gonna buy, or if you're looking for an entry spot. I would say wait until it gets around like 273 to 287, maybe below $300 if it drops. Okay, so 319, and I'm just looking at this kind of supply and demand flip right here. to where it gapped, made a move up, use it as support, and then make the move up right here. So below 320 would be my discounted zone that I would say would be best. I forgot to ask, was you looking at shares or was you looking at options contracts? Shares, smart. Can't lose money unless you sell them, right? So yeah, anything around 320 or below, I would say would be possibly a decent starter position. Let me try something else. Uh, we'll go to bar candles for right now. It's called a GAN fan. It's probably one of my oldest little tricks for share buying. And I'm offsetting the fan, but I line it up with the lows of a stock. So I'm lining it up with these lows right here. And it gives me kind of a support zone. And I'm using a 3 month trend just because I can see the overall trends better. So here's the offset. And then when you zoom out, it already gives you some rising support levels. So, like I told you, what we said around I said 300. This is 302 right here. These lines don't move, they're stationary. Um, I taught a couple of traders in here the same tricks. Mirage, the Cube Master, they all got into trading the GAN fan levels. The only thing is it's not really for intraday, it's for pinpoint long-term use. But like I said, 300, that's right here. That actually lines up pretty dope with where the fan lines up to. And then you can buy here. And then if it drops down to like 225, then that'll be another level to buy. You feel me? So prices only move to the right and up and down. So if you're buying in this straight line, straight down, and these GAN fans are rising, like I said, you will buy here and you will catch the run back up there. And even if it comes back down, you still a little bit higher than where you originally bought in the first time. Because if you bought in back here when it originally touched this trend line, that was at 253. Trade it up. Once it trades back down, 250, that line at 253 now becomes a line at 300. So you technically still higher than your last time you bought on this trend line here. If it breaks below here, cool. You'll just buy here at 227 or 230, and then you'll ride the trend back up. Boom, to 304, and then back up to 485. So the GAN fan, I learned about this a couple of years ago. It's been my go-to for share buying. Is undefeated, bro. Like this is literally undefeated. So, like I said, 300 is gonna be dope to start an entry price, and then even if it goes below there, probably around like 225. That'd be super nice too. All right. Um, Drown. I've been seeing this ticker floating around, and I haven't really paid much attention to it. Memory ETF. Has anybody really messed with this one? Looks a little interesting. IPO'd in April. Nice uptrend. It's getting some of their money back. They looking for some entries. Some support right there. Downtrend. Yeah, it's a nice little downtrend right now. Red week over week. This chart almost look worse than SpaceX, huh? It's already broken previous 3 month lows. I know it's some mad motherfuckers that's in SpaceX right now, so I ain't even gonna talk too much about it. Man, look, I tell people all the time. I say anytime a stock IPO is give it 6 months to reveal itself. Like in 6 months, you gonna see what institutions really want the prices at, and then after that 6 months, you good to go. I will feel way a lot more safer. And if you go back and look at some of my old videos where we talked about IPOs, I was saying it back then. Give an IPO 6 months before you just start pouring money into it. Yeah, man. Look, I took a year, like all 2024, tracking brand new IPO stocks. It probably was maybe like two that actually held value throughout the year out of like 20 of them. Brand new IPOs, even the ones that got overly hyped, maybe two held their value throughout the whole year. The rest of them broke below the IPO opening price and traded below it for the remainder of the year. So I don't think I don't think that you'll ever really miss the boat on anything that comes out within the first 2 years. All right, so this is DRAM round hill memory ETF. Right now it's in a downtrend. Um, it is looking to form some type of support between 55 and 47. Okay. It's red week over week. It's about to finish up a bearish month, and I don't think it has a quarter. Okay, so it has a nice big green candle from the previous quarter. Okay, so that's good. So that lets you know that there's a lot of opportunity into it. It's just working its way back down to where institutions can get in at some cheaper prices. So you'll definitely want to be looking to see how this candle closes. That's 4 days month. This is the monthly time frame. You'll definitely want to see how this candle closes. Um, Going into the final month, well, the final 4 days, and then from there you can look at possibly working some money into it if this is something that you would like. All right. Excuse me. Allergies acting up, pollen everywhere. So excuse me if I sneeze a couple times on or you hear me over here sounding like I'm finna die, but I might. But overall though, you'll want to watch to see how this holds up between 55 and 47. And what some of my levels say? Yeah, I got too much red and white up here. So we'll see how it looks once it drops back down here, unless it decides to break out and then it rotates its way, back up to here and forms a little chop zone between 57 and 64. But right now, I don't see anything just super interesting into it. Like I said, watch for a bottom around 47, and we can go from there. Yep. So, guys, Ti isn't it's not hard. It's just pattern recognition. It's just seeing how time frames are playing out. Like me and my wife was talking about, she's been trading now going on like a full year. And the more that she charts, the more that she recognizes that it's just candles inside of candles inside of candles inside of candles. And the bigger picture tells you exactly what you need to know. And you just break it down to where you can get into an entry based off of what the bigger time frames say. So if you're constantly, you know, trading calls, when you look at the monthly and you see that it's below the opening price, calls will work. But it's only gonna work for so long because you're facing so much bearish pressure. You might make money on the way up, but you're gonna make way more money on the way back down as long as prices are below opening prices. I mean, it's like it's a foolproof strategy. Some days the timing might be off, but overall, you'll see me signal something one day. It might play out a little bit before close. If it doesn't play out the same day, but the next following day or so, it it skyrockets, and that's just because the timing might be off. But I'm playing in a direction for that month. Um, like I said, so that's bearish right now. But like when we're playing Nvidia calls and Nvidia puts, you know, we're playing puts on the direction of the previous candle, but we also have to respect the fact that it's been holding prices above the opening price this month. The bulls are in control this month, but we're facing consolidation because the prior month was red. If this was another green over green month, green over green, then you know calls will work a whole lot better. But since we did break that month's lows and the bears took over, we're seeing a lot of chop. So sometimes when the market is compressing and we're seeing Nvidia push back up a whole lot faster than the rest of the market, this is what we're noticing. We're noticing that the prices are trying to hold, is trying to close out the next 4 days green, and is want to take its way up into the following month, August. It wants to build on top of this green month and then go and target this previous month's highs, 232. So if you wanted to go into August bullish, it wouldn't be a dumb idea. You will go into it and then you can actually look at 230 calls. Uh let's just say going into August. I know this shit probably high, but 355 right now. Once it forms a new candle and these 230 calls start pushing in the right way, I mean it's gonna go and target the previous candle's highs. That's just how the prices work. It's always gonna target the previous candle's highs or lows. Okay. J Loco, what's up, man? I started my whole stream out talking about how you make money and all you need is just some target prices. You go off your own TA and I just help you out with some of the contract prices. Hey man, let's go on Netflix. Netflix just got flushed after earnings, I believe, and it's trying to recover. But I already got my fan levels drawn out. It's bouncing around 66. It's trying to attempt to close this gap before earnings. It came out mixed. Stock repurchases. So it's looking to fill this gap back up here around $74. I don't see nothing wrong with that. Okay. Only thing that I would be worried about is how long it takes it to fill it. All right. Netflix got it's a super crazy chart. All right. Let me hide some of these lines real quick. All right. Netflix has a super crazy chart. You feel me? It can go for a steep decline, pop and make a move up, and then just go right back into it. So you have to be cautious with Netflix, simply because you just don't really know how the sentiment's gonna shift from week to week. It's almost one of the ones that holds up a little better when the market's in a panic, and it actually moves on its own, on its own move. So if we look at it right now, like I said, it's trying to recover from that gap down post earnings, but we're already having, red over red quarters, red over red monthly candles, and we're making lower lows. Keep that in mind. And then if we look at the weekly chart, it's just been a slow wave. Well, actually, just a straight dive down towards new lows. So I gotta scroll way back here just to find something. That's oh shit. I can't draw too much on here because I have to delete all my fan moves. Fuck it, I'll draw it back. But I gotta go way back here just to find some support on here. And then if I go back a little bit further, I like that one, but I don't like it. All right, so these are the levels that I'm watching for right now, as far as bouncing 69, 63, and 56 for Netflix. Do I got moving averages up? All right. So I threw the moving averages up real quick, SMAs. And if we look at the weekly and the daily, all right, so we're already trying to break below the 200 moving average on the weekly. This is automatically showing us that is what discounted on a bigger frame. It's kind of like we saw on Microsoft a couple of weeks ago. Once it broke below the 200 moving averages, then we actually seen buyers start stepping in a lot heavier, just because it was a good company that was on discount. It was showing discounted prices based on the chart. All right. So we're below the 200 moving SMA on the weekly, and we've been riding below the 200 SMA on the daily chart. So, like I said, we could be filling up this gap, but then again, it could be short lived with so much resistance, working its way back down and crashing SMAs to push it further down. Okay. Monthly is trying to maintain the 50 SMA on the monthly. If you've been following, the 50 for me dictates the overall sentiment. So if you see it holding a 50 on the monthly, then it's still long term bullish. Well, holding a long term uptrend, it just might move sideways. But if it breaks below this 50 on the monthly, then the direction is going to be a continuation what down. You will see a monthly candle close within these 4 days below the 50, and possibly see a new candle form below here, and you will see the price continue to roll down if it doesn't reclaim it. So like I said, overall, Netflix is a bit tricky. You want to be careful with it. Um, don't take too many calls Well, don't hold your calls too long, just because it isn't in a bull friendly market right now, or scenario, and we just have to watch how it plays out week over week. All right, so careful on Netflix as far as levels that we'll watch for this week. Am I still in my 24-hour shit? Yeah. All right, so levels for this week, we will watch for a pump up to the 7150 zone. And then if it continues to make its way up, like I said, we'll retest these lows around $74, $75. But for right now, you will want to watch prices trade in between ranges between 70 and 68 to see how it holds up. Let's look at the contracts. Um, August 7th. I wouldn't even want to mess with these for real. Not even August 7th. Simply because you see how the prices for them aren't really moving. And these are August 14th calls. But you see how the contract prices aren't really moving above like this 105. Discounts right now are probably below $60. You can take those entries there and you can get them back up and see if they'll how close they'll get to $115. But as of right now, I probably wouldn't even mess with Netflix too heavy. Let's see what these 71 calls look like. Yeah, so just be careful on Netflix. Like I said, this is something that somebody asked about from after hours, and I was just looking at it. But when I see when I see the stock option prices waver like this on contracts, it just lets me know unless it breaks out of here above this 200 and decides it wants to move up, um, those contracts are like shitty unless you just go, further out, super further out. Like these probably hold up better just because they got time and they have closer prices that can still be respected with the amount of time that's on these. And these are like December calls, $75 calls. So short dated, I wouldn't mess with anything with it just because it's so wishy washy and it's still kind of disturbed from it's still pretty disturbed from that earnings flush. I'll do one more. ASTS. Hey J Loco, you got anything you want to look at, bro? Crumbs Holdings. I ain't see you in there. What's good, man? Hey, McDonald's be leaving the market sometime, bro. It's a good recessionary stock. All right, so apparently I drew ASTS last time we talked about it, and I wrote that it was breaking previous lows on a 3 month. and it did break those lows, and now it's flushing even lower. Um, it's a space stock, so we had a we had a catalyst, right? SpaceX. That was the mover, not for the most part, but that kind of helped. It was a catalyst for space stocks. And once that was over, SpaceX started selling off. A lot of the other space stocks are suffering. Wink, wink, ASTS. We broke the 3 months lows and we're now trading below the 200 SMA. So these were the last two levels that I drew out, 50 and 3650. And it's already broken below this descending trend right here. So we can go ahead and get rid of that and look at the next thing that it could be breaking down beyond. So just zooming out on a bigger standpoint, this is what it looks like. You got this bigger frame ascending trend line, and then you have this one right here marking the two time it made these nice little highs at 130. So as far as STS, ASTS, if you love space stocks and you want to invest in them, it's I mean, this is a decent opportunity. It's definitely on discount. It's below the 50 on the weekly, so of course the trend direction is bearish. And then you got a rising 200 here that's around $30. So by the time it meets up, it'll probably meet up somewhere around like $35 or so. So just watch for entries if you like ASTS. Like I said, shares would be the way. Watch for entries around 51 if it gets down there, just because of this right here. And then if it drops below that, because the next closest moving average that could catch it, it's probably be around here somewhere. So just watch how this plays out between 50 and $36 on ASTS. If you're in space stocks, sorry. I know this shit looked good once SpaceX came out, and even before that, the first time it pushed these highs. But right now, just not having a very good opportunity. Talking about SpaceX is down 113. So yeah, space stocks will take a while. Um, just because it's kind of like looking at the quantum side of things. Quantum computing, they got all of these stuff, and people, um, they swear by their chips and things that they can do, but until we actually see them in work and have something to just, I guess, to gauge it by, is always gonna be a buy the rumor, sell the news type deal. So McDonald's is on a major discount, bro. And like I said, McDonald's do good in recessionary times. Every time it drops below the 200 long term, the shit gets bought up. And here we are here. So, yeah, I think McDonald's would be a good long term hold. And this is going off of just what I've watched over the years. Stocks like McDonald's and Progressive, I have to put a list together, but it's a couple of stocks over the years that I've just watched. And when nothing else moves in the market, stocks like these normally perform overall. You started out with McDonald's? Hey, facts. Facts. Was Walmart doing good? What Where's my oil and gas? Oil and gas been pumping too. Look at that big ass green candle for the monthly, taking our previous month's highs. Well, let you know what's finna happen. Watch out for this pop on oil and gas pretty soon. Exxon Mobil coming to reclaim highs possibly. Look at that nice curve back up to the upside. Respected the 200 on the daily time frame, working its way back up. 163, 176. What's up, Ripple? Solaire just got off the place from Florida. Mine shut off for the market for 9 days. Amazing. Bro, I'm actually finna get off. But I did record the whole shebang. We've been on what, an hour 16 right now. And man, I hope you enjoy Florida. Bro, honestly, I just came back from Florida, me and the family. We took a little small vacation. And we went to Panama City Beach. And shit was amazing. It was my first time my country has been in uh, sand that soft and water that clear. Um, it was pretty dope. We went and hung out on South Pier. So I hope you enjoy Florida just as much as I did. Shit, Hood's been getting waxed too, by the way. If anybody been fucking with Hood, I've been hoping that 115, this 115 was gonna push us up to like this 140, but they had other plans. Man, it's nice, bro. And look, I'm so used, like, okay, we ain't got clear water nowhere where I'm at. It's straight Gulf of Mexico. All right. We in the water and seeing how clear it is, and then we see like the little bait fish. They come in by the hundreds and they swim around us. We think that shit cool. But next thing you know, you see big, like three big ass, I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was like baby sharks, just three big ass fishes or what. But we see them hoes swimming in the water. And do you know how hard it is to run in water chest high, trying to get out the way? Man. But it was amazing. Like I said, it was some stuff that we seen in the water. I seen jellyfish for the first time and stuff. But bro, when we seen those objects swimming around on the bottom, I was like, nah, I gotta move around, man, because I don't know what that is. And you could tell the tourists from that I was a tourist versus the other people that was in the water. Everybody else cool. They got snorkels on. They going under the water trying to touch it and shit. Nah, I'm trying to get out the way. Let me get back up there. So if I need to get up out this water, I can. You feel me? Like, let me get adjusted to it first, and then I might go under there with the snorkel and everything. My son was he was a little braver than me. He wanted to go touch it, see what it was. I'm good. I'm good. I'm a male man. Like I need my legs, my limbs and shit. So let me work my way back up there. Y'all let me know what it is later on. You feel me? So, but overall, it was fun. We went to the Ripley's Believe It or Not place out there, and we went to another like little indoor amusement park, Wonderworks. But if you ever go to Florida, you go to Panama City Beach, man. It's beautiful. First time there. I plan on going back too. So Ungovernable says fucking hilarious. Bro, I swear, I'm a fisherman. You feel me? So I like fishing, but being in the water with the fish and not knowing what it is and then being in unfamiliar territory and not knowing what these fish are, bro. I'm good. Even my wife, like we both standing in a, we we standing in the water thinking that we, we just cool. We out here. And we both seen the shit and we're like, nah, you know what? Let's move over on this side. The waves coming in and bringing shit closer. So we gotta get to where we can run a little bit. But overall, man, I'm glad to be back in the market. I took those couple of days off, man, and got back to it, got back acclimated to the price action, and the market's still in a pivotal zone. We just got to see how this news and everything's gonna play out. Earnings season is here. Tesla ain't no good. I want to play Microsoft, but Microsoft been it's upset me the past couple of earnings. It's really been upset me the past few earnings. So it got a big ass move to 460. I think that could happen. He said Microsoft, man. Crazy shit, bro. I love Microsoft. I like the price action because it moves so quick. And look, real quick, this is my Microsoft chart. You feel me? Every time we drop below 365, bulls step in heavily. Step in heavily. So I'm taking these as liquidity levels. I'm thinking, all right, we had this big cup right here between 360 and let's say 325. All right, this little dip right here, that was just get them out before we spike our way to the upside. So price is loaded up here. Boom, we out of there. Price is loaded up here. Boom, we out of there. Here we are, back up. One more time. We back out of there. Let me see the fucking move up to 460. Like, show me that for earnings. I'll take it before earnings. And after earnings, you can flush it back down. But let me see, show me that y'all want this just as bad as I do. So, even if I throw the moving averages up, look how far the daily is. The price action is from the 200 on the daily. Even on the weekly, it's right there hugging it. It's hugging the 200 on the weekly. So, we gonna see. We gonna see how the shit play out. Any dip that we get from here, in my opinion, is a gift, even for leaps. Like I told you, if y'all been on this thing since I first started, these GAN fans don't move. So once prices start dropping below them, it's gonna come back. This gold line right here, 475, it's not going nowhere. So right now it's in between three golden zones. So that lets me know this is where some magic finna happen. I'll take some sideways movement right now. But 1, 2, 3, and this is where it always get bought up. Like, this is heavy. I just don't know how fast it's gonna move, but it's coming back up here. Pop and drop. Hey, Microsoft gonna be a mover. Watch my words. Watch my words. They can sell them shit. Like I said, I like the volatility. Bro, Apple been a beast.